Alrighty, we're here. If you are watching this recording, like we said, this is Medicare Supplements versus Medicare Advantage with Senior Marketing Specialist, and we're happy to have you here. Let's go ahead and dive into the first thing. So there's going to be 3 questions that we're going to be talking about today, because Medicare Supplements versus Medicare Advantage is such a huge question. We wanted to break it down into 3 different questions that you might be asking whenever you are asking Medicare Supplements versus Medicare Advantage. The first one is, do I really need to offer both? How important is it to offer both? Second one is, what is the better option for my clients? And then, which is better for my business? Because of course, you guys are in this industry to help people out with a very vulnerable area in their life. But of course, you're not working for free. At the end of the day, it is a job, it is your income. So you also have to make sure that you're making money. So we want to talk about which one's better than your business, or better for your business. Let's see. So let's go ahead and dive into the very first question. First question here is, should I offer both? Now, one thing about this question is, kind of back in the day, 10-ish years ago and beyond, it used to be that agencies could get away with offering just one.
Right.
Medicare Supplements and PDPs, or Medicare Advantage plans, or sometimes just Medicare Supplements and they didn't deal with the PDPs. But nowadays, you can't quite get away with that as much as you used to be able to, simply because people are doing their research nowadays. You're having very informed clients come in, and they already have done the research beforehand. They looked at Google, they've talked to people, they've seen on Facebook their friends that are having troubles with their plans or love their plans. People are talking, people are doing their own research. So you have to make sure that you're offering both. Spoiler, that's going to be the theme of today, making sure that you're offering both for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, for sure. I think you brought up a really good point. You used to be able to get away with it. I know a wonderful human who recently did a video about being better than Google. It's Sadie. Talking about exactly that. Like, you want to be able to make sure you're offering every different angle for your clients. We always talk about AEP being like our busy season, because there's a lot of Medicare Advantage business. But what's kind of lesser known or less thought about is it's also the biggest time of year for Medicare supplements, because clients are doing their own research. They're looking into different options. People typically like to shop for like car insurance, like once every few years.
Right.
But with Medicare Advantage, they're getting a lot of advertisements telling them like, hey, this is the time to enroll. But they might not understand that it's not an open enrollment for a Medicare supplement.
Correct.
That it's only for the Medicare Advantage plans. So they might be wanting to switch Medicare supplements, but as we know, they're going to have to go through underwriting unless they have some kind of GI situation.
Correct.
But that is something to note, that there is going to be a ton of med sup business written in the fourth quarter as well. It's not just going to be all of our MA folks.
Absolutely. Kind of the moral of this whole thing is, you want to make sure that you are offering something, you have an option for any person that walks through your door. We could even get more specific into the MA side and say, make sure that you're offering D-SNP plans and stuff like that. We won't get that deep into it today, but the moral of the story is, you want to make sure that any person that walks through your door, whether they've done the research and they think they know what they want, at the end of the day, you are the expert. They are expecting you to put them on the best plan possible, whether that be something that they thought they wanted, or sometimes it is.
And something Olivia always kind of references with this that has really stuck with me over the years is being more like your agency, be more like a grocery store versus going to a butcher for your meat and then going to the farmer's market for your vegetables. Yes, delicious, great way to go get a bunch of different things, but you're not necessarily that one-stop shop. Like, you go to the grocery store, you can get your meat, you can get your candies, get your vegetables, whatever you might need, and do it all in one place, which is what clients are going to be looking for these days. Everything's gotten so easy with buying stuff online. You go to Amazon, you can click one thing, it's got your payment info, say boom, done deal, you've got it in 2 days. Clients want that instant gratification, and if you're not able to help them with all their different options and they want to look at those options, they're going to go somewhere else.
Exactly.
So by offering both, you keep them there, and then you guys come to the solution, which we'll talk about, which might lean them one path or the other. But yeah,
Yeah.
Big spoiler alert of the day is, should I offer both? Yes, you for sure should be offering both.
Absolutely, to make sure that you're covering all new clients and, like you said, essentially retention. You
Yep.
want to make sure that you're keeping those clients on the books because they might have a med sup, been on it for a while, but if you don't offer Medicare Advantage plans and this new awesome plan comes out and they want to try it out and you don't offer it, they're going to your neighbor.
For sure.
So let's dive into the second question here. What is the best options for my clients? This is basically, I'm like trying to think of the easiest way to say this. The best option for your client will depend client to client.
Right.
There is no one size fits all. Not all people can be on a Medicare Advantage plan. Not all people can be on a Medicare supplement plan. And we're starting to see that more and more and more as Medicare Advantage plans are starting to flux and get these benefits that are rivaling Medicare supplement benefits and vice versa.
Yeah, there's really no, if this, then we do this. It's not as easy as like a little flow chart, but having some kind of questionnaire or fact finder to help you figure out which path to go with is going to be your best bet. You're going to want to look at all the different kind of how they're utilizing the hospitals, where they like to go, all the kind of general questions you want to ask, maybe family history stuff.
Right.
It's generally going to be a part of your fact finding process anyway, but that's really going to be what helps you figure out, does this person need to go with a MA plan or a med sup?
Absolutely.
Because then you can really figure out at the root cause what's going to be best for them and what that client's going to be happiest with.
Absolutely.
Because they might think they want, let's say, a Medicare Advantage plan, but based off their answers, you can tell them like, you're really going to be more so leaning this way. And you being that advisor and telling them your opinion of what they're needing, that's what they're coming to you for.
Right.
So
exactly.
Ask the right questions. That is something that we would love to go over with more in the follow-up to keep today a little bit shorter. We won't do a whole fact-finding questionnaire, but that is something where if that's not part of your process, or you want to just kind of hone it in, make sure you're asking the right questions, reach out to our agent resources team here. That is what we do all day, every day.
Absolutely. Another thing that I thought of is sometimes people come in and they're like, I want a Medicare Advantage plan. I've heard that these are really cool. My friend has one.
It's $0.
It's $0. But then whenever they look at maybe the Medicare Advantage plans in their area, they're like, oh, this isn't the same plan that my friend, in this big metropolitan city or in a different state or something like that. It's not similar. It doesn't have the benefits I thought that maybe it would have.
Right.
It has good benefits, but I don't know if I want that. Or also, you're going to get some clients that come in and you put them on a Medicare supplement plan and they let those premiums lapse and they get kicked off of their plan and they have no other option other than to go to a Medicare Advantage plan.
Yeah.
So it's also good to have one or have both of them because you want to be able to have the option to have one or the other.
That's an amazing point
Yeah.
that I don't think about enough is in this argument of should I offer both, we run into that a lot. Clients maybe canceled that policy or didn't pay for that policy, not knowing the repercussions of that.
Right.
And then we know the underwriting's not an option. Like they're not going to be able to get through. Okay,
Exactly.
what do we do now? You got to wait until they have either a GI or a SEP, or we wait for open enrollment to get them onto a Medicare Advantage plan, because with a lot of insurance products, something is better than nothing. So having that in place, even if it's not what they really wanted, sometimes that's all we can do at that point.
Absolutely.
I like that point. Good call.
Yeah, thanks. I actually heard that from Clint Geyer. He is the vice
yeah.
president over at Senior Benefit Services, and he was talking about something similar to this subject one time, and I was like, that's an excellent point. Wrote it down in my notes, and now I'm sharing and ripping it off from him and getting all the credit for it.
Nice.
I love that.
I'm just gonna be like, you said it.
Exactly. Yes. You heard it here.
Sorry, Clint. Love
Sorry,
you.
Clint, love you. So guys, whenever you have someone come into your office, now you know, okay, so I have to have one or the other, but how do I figure out if there's no if-then statements, if there's no one size fits all, then what do I have to be doing? We kind of talked about it already. Fact finding, making sure that you are asking the right questions to make sure that people know what's a better option for them. So What we're going to do now is we're going to break into the main portion of this webinar here, and we're going to talk about blanket statements of Medicare supplements versus Medicare Advantage plans. Now, one thing to keep in mind before we go into here is these are just the first questions that you should ask. Just because it's on the slide does not mean everybody that that point is relevant to should be on that.
Yeah.
These are just the first questions that you should be asking to decide which path they might work better for.
Yeah, I think these are really good for trying to figure out which way we're leaning,
Yes.
but we never want to just be like, meh, meds up.
Yes.
Like, oh, you answered one of these questions. Meh, meds up.
Exactly. And also one thing to keep in mind, some of these things are going to be changing as Medicare Advantage plans start to change over the years. They're not going to look, Medicare Advantage plans aren't going to look the same today as they will in 5 years from now.
Right.
Who knows, even next year. that's the beauty of
game.
those. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, first thing is a really good point to that: travel often. Now, this is kind of a classic Medicare supplement sort of thing, because of course with Medicare supplements there are no networks. Technically the network is if they accept original Medicare, then they will accept Medicare
Boom,
supplements.
you're in.
Yeah, so about 99% of the providers here in this country.
Yeah.
But this is one, so that's why we say, hey, if you live in California, but you have grandkids in New York and you summer in, I don't know, Michigan or something.
Summer in Michigan.
Yeah, summer in Michigan.
Okay.
I don't know. Somebody does that. I don't know about that, but it felt right. And you're traveling often. You don't live in the same area all the time. A lot of times Medicare supplements work great for them, because then they don't have to worry about being tied down to networks. They don't have to worry about, I only have to see this doctor or whatever it may be. Or if they are really, really picky about their doctors, or they're not super picky about their doctors, or they are and they don't want to be tied to a network where maybe their doctors might be in it, maybe their doctors might not be. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, little caveat here, this might be a bullet point that might change. We might have to take this off of this slide here in the next few years, because there are these new things that we'll talk about here in just a moment called national networks with Medicare Advantage plans that are really making this point rival as far as their plans go. So we'll talk about those in just a second, but keep that in mind. Just a blanket statement, first things first questions: how often do you travel? Maybe that they might be leaning more towards Medicare supplements there.
We know we got a lot of snowbirds in the senior demographic.
Yes.
We've got a lot of people who are retired and love the RV life, love to go wherever they want to. So this takes a bit of that worry away, because then they can just go to the doctor wherever they are.
Yes.
I really like that.
Exactly.
Next, we're looking at if they live in like a rural area. And mainly this point is because of the MA plans not being so solid there. This is not so much of a plus for Medicare supplement as it is a negative side of the MA thing.
Correct.
MA plans.
Yeah. The MA
thing, you know that. But no, so like a rural area doesn't typically have the great networks that in a Medicare Advantage plan. That's going to be kind of the biggest deterrent from these clients, because where are they going to go to the doctor?
Right.
Who am I going to be able to see? Is everything going to be out of network for me, even though that's the doctor down the street? It might look good with all the extra stuff that's on an MA plan, but it's actually not very usable.
Yes.
And that's where the if then this questions kind of fall off again. It's like, yes, I want dental, I want all these things added onto my plan, but it doesn't really work if you can't use it.
Right.
If nothing is there for you, you need to have the network. And living in a rural area, again, goes back to our point of, do they accept Medicare? Boom, you're in with the Medicare supplement.
Exactly. And along with the networks, a big reason why people go with Medicare Advantage plans is because all the extra bells and whistles, all the fancy things that they get with it. And if you live in a really rural area, you're not going to have the choice of fancy gyms to go to. You might not have the option to use those transportation benefits and stuff like that. I think about the small town that I grew up in, and though it's getting bigger,
by like
we
15?
we have the Walmart, for all the surrounding areas, so we're kind of a big deal over there. But I think of, even though they're getting bigger, they're just not a Medicare Advantage plan, though Medicare Advantage plans in rural areas, we're not saying that they're the worst there.
Yeah,
We're just
again,
saying
it's not
sometimes
if this, then this.
exactly, because Medicare Advantage plans are starting to become really great, have really great benefits, really great networks in those rural areas. But if someone goes in there with the expectation that, hey, my friend that lives in St. Louis has all these cool benefits, and then they try to get it in little Mexico, Missouri over there, living next to soybeans, they're like, this isn't exactly the kind of plan that I was expecting it to be. This isn't quite what my friend has. It's a good option for them. That way they don't feel like, you know, they're missing out on anything. This just might be a better, but I really like the way that you said this isn't necessarily a plus for Medicare supplements as it is as a kind of fallback for not getting a Medicare.
Like not a strong
plan.
MA plan for
Yes,
you then. Because
exactly.
you just can't use it.
Right.
Also, like with the Med Sup, like she was saying, like it's not going to look, or like a Medicare Advantage plan won't look the same from a big town to a small town, but that Med Sup is going to work the exact same in Mexico as it would in St. Louis, as it would in Colombia, kind of bouncing around throughout
same
the
benefits.
And Medicare supplement, folks, something that we didn't really like kick off this is a lot of it is you're paying like you're financing your healthcare, or it's like a subscription. I know that's probably not a compliant thing. I'm supposed to say, I'm so sorry, Jalen, but like think of it like a subscription. You pay X premium to go to the doctor as much as you want or as little as you want. You can go whenever you want. You can go wherever you want. It's kind of like just there you go. There's your healthcare.
Yes, a lot of times, so the bullet point that we have on here are visit the doctor often. Again, this is sort of one of those things where we're like, you can't just take that as it is. There's a bit more context there. But people who like to finance their healthcare, so people who don't want to have to get the surprise copay or like the surprise price whenever they go to, or pay those higher copays whenever they do go to the doctor, they just want to pay it up front and make sure that they have lower copays whenever they go. It's a lot more predictable.
Right. The predictable thing is, I think, a big note.
100% the predictable thing, whether that be finances or benefits. That kind of goes into our last point too as well. People who don't like change, Medicare supplements, man, you can set it and forget it. You don't have to worry about the benefits changing. You know exactly what you get from year to year. Honestly, that alone, that's going to make a lot of people, no matter how shiny and fancy Medicare Advantage plans are, there's going to be a chunk of people that are like, nope, I don't want to deal with that from year to year. I just want to set it and forget it. I pay it up front. I know exactly what I'm getting, and I don't have to worry about that changing.
For sure. I love that. It's just the set it and forget it. The only thing that we'd have to consider at that point is just watching rates.
Right.
But like we talked about earlier, it might not be an option for them to switch. So it's kind of like laying out all of these details about that. Again, that's why this is such a big conversation of which one do they land on, because if they pick MA at first, they might not be able to ever get on a supplement.
Yes.
And kind of going back and forth.
We have a good question here. Is that generally true for specialists also?
As in, like seeing doctors?
Yeah, I would assume like seeing doctors.
So like a Medicare supplement, yeah, you're great. You go where you need to. Where the Medicare Advantage plan, that's where you have to start looking at those kind of extra copays, or a little bit higher than the general PCP visit.
Yes. Now, like we said, it's the same sort of network as taking original Medicare. Every once in a while, you will find a rare doctor that doesn't accept original Medicare. And most of the time, those are going to be specialists. That does not happen super often. That's pretty rare, but that would be the one circumstance in which you might have to maybe do some workarounds. And we can talk about that with you as well afterwards, because that's usually, that situation isn't usually as bad as people expect financially after.
So the main things that we see is like psychiatrists aren't covered by Medicare a lot of times, but they might not be covered by insurance. They might just only do out of pocket. So like that's your only option anyway.
Yeah.
The other thing to consider with specialists would be like if you're picking a plan in, and then looking at the Medicare assignment. So then it's not necessarily just do they accept Medicare, it's do they accept Medicare assignment, and make that whole chargeable amount. I know we have plenty of videos and webinars about, I think it was called What's the Buzz with Plan In. I'm pretty sure me and you did that.
Love that, yeah.
But that's kind of what you have to look in a little bit deeper. But that's when you've decided MedSup is the way to go. Now what letter plan, what do we choose from there? So that's a 102 question. But I love it, so thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. So, guys, that is our Medicare supplements in a nutshell. Of course, like we said, all of these are just jumping off points. Just because you see a point on here doesn't mean that every client that fits into that category, that's exactly what it is. You just want to start with these and then dive a little bit deeper. They're good fact-finding questions.
We'll throw that disclaimer on just about every slide.
Just about every slide, yes. And you know, whenever we first started doing this webinar, we didn't have to put that disclaimer on there as much as we do now, because this was a few years back, and even in just a couple of years from us first starting to do this, we're seeing Medicare Advantage plans kind of change and shift in a way that it's like, well,
Those
I don't
lines
know.
are getting pretty blurry.
Yes, exactly. And it used to be so black and white. It used to be, you know, put all your wealthy clients on Medicare supplements, and people that want to spend maybe a little less money, put them on Medicare Advantage plans. I mean, quite literally, it used to be more like that. And we're just not seeing that be as true anymore.
No, folks that we used to kind of lump into an obvious med sup client might necessarily be like, well, I can get more out of this plan, more bang for my buck with the MA plan. Or a client that you would chalk up as just like, just pay your premiums, dude. We can get you on this plan. You can stay on this one. You don't have to worry about it. But like, well, no, hold on. I want to go to this gym over here and I got a good dental. Let's go ahead and switch it up this year.
Right.
I don't know why I went a little country on it.
Well, yeah, because we were talking about Mexico, Missouri. That's
Mexico,
why you're just talking about Mexico, Missouri. Don't mind us. All right.
It wouldn't be a webinar without Clayton and Sadie goofiness.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay, guys, now we're rolling right into Medicare Advantage plans. Of course, like we said, there's no one size fits all, but we have a few points on here, and these are just going to change. There's going to be more pluses, there's going to be more positives as the years goes on, and we kind of see Medicare Advantage just keep morphing year to year. That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
We never know what we're going to get quite.
Keeps us on our toes.
Keeps us on our toes, yes. So first thing, we kind of talked about this a little bit, live in highly populated areas. The main reason why we say that Medicare Advantage should be most definitely an option for anybody who's living in the metro area is because basically the way that Medicare Advantage plans are funded is CMS looks at each county, looks at each area where these plans are going to be for each of these carriers, and they say, okay, based on the statistics here, one of those statistics is mainly being population, we're going to give you this much money towards your plans there. So that's why you're going to see highly populated areas have bigger benefits and richer benefits, because they have more money backed on the plans to give those areas that versus lower populated areas. So in higher populated areas, you're going to see big networks, you're going to see really fun really fun benefits, all those extra bells and whistles that people really like Medicare Advantage for.
That's what I think is a good part of this is what people love about Medicare Advantage, the bells and whistles, the extras are even more rich in these highly populated areas.
They really shine in the populated areas
because the carriers can throw more money at it because per member, they have more people on that plan. So it might cost them the same to have a plan in Mexico, Missouri, where they've got 2 contracts with a couple of hospitals there. If there is a couple of hospitals there.
We don't have any hospitals there.
Okay. Well, anyway, a couple of hospitals in that town versus like a couple in like a big city, like a Chicago or St. Louis. Like those 2 contracts they have there are going to see a lot more members than in a small little town.
Correct.
So they're throwing a lot more money at those plans there. A lot more things that people love about Medicare
Exactly.
Advantage.
You just have a lot more options as well as far as like doctors go. There's going to be more people that accept it than people not. You don't have to take the risk necessarily of not being able to find a doctor in your area that covers that, because there's just plenty of people.
There's more options. Yeah.
There's a lot more options. You go ahead.
We both just kind of did that like inhale, like who's got this one? So another big point is if folks don't visit the doctor very often. Myself, I'm an avoider. I will not go to the doctor for this little knee ache that I've been having for months. I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll buff.
It'll be fine.
But a lot of people are that way of just like against going to the doctor. Like I'll put it off to the last minute and then my knee will explode.
Sure.
But people that are looking at doing that, they see a Medicare supplement as a waste of money because they're throwing premiums to not go to the doctor. Where if you're not going to the doctor very often, you're on a Medicare Advantage plan with either a $0 premium or a relatively low premium in comparison to a med sup plan,
Right.
they're looking at a ton of savings.
Exactly.
So it just doesn't make sense for them to throw a bunch of money at something that they're not going to use. So
Yes.
if they're not visiting the doctor often, could be one of those like, okay, stash that 1 point Medicare Advantage.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's a point system.
Point system.
Just
Yeah.
like one.
Our next webinar idea.
Yeah.
Right here. But yes, people who do not visit the doctor often. You also have to keep in mind that a lot of the bells and whistles, all of the bells and whistles on Medicare Advantage plans are literally designed to keep you healthy, to help maintain your health. That's why you'll see a lot of like gym memberships and Fitbits and healthy food cards and all that sort of stuff, because they want to keep you healthy, therefore keep you from going to the doctor often and paying those copays.
Right. They're looking out for you and themselves.
Correct.
They're like, if we can give you bells and whistles, they'll keep you away from having to put us on big claims that we have to pay out.
Correct.
Everybody wins.
Yes, exactly. So this is really great for the people who like to stay really active. They like to, or again, just people who don't want to finance their healthcare up front and would rather just wait and pay those copays for whenever they do go.
Or like an as needed basis.
As needed basis, yes, which is a lot of people. So next thing is those who are Medicaid eligible. Now we won't dive super deep into this today, but of course, and then also we'll kind of loop in those veterans as well.
Right.
Medicare Advantage plans are really great for those who are Medicaid eligible, because they are able to get those D-SNP plans. They're able to get those extra bells and whistles on top of the healthcare that they already get with Medicaid. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you have somebody that walks through your doors and they are fully on Medicaid, fully Medicare, dual eligible there, it is illegal to put them on a Medicare supplement. So if you're wanting to take care of them, you want to make sure that you have those Medicare Advantage plans there for them. And we say this on nearly every webinar because I feel like it's just so relevant all the time. Carriers are literally begging us to get people and get agents to sell D-SNP because it's such an underserved market.
Right.
There's a very large need for this demographic, and they just don't have enough agents selling it. So if you're wanting to find a niche, it takes a little bit extra work. You have to take a couple more certifications, do a little bit more research, be willing to go to them rather than them come to you. But if you're wanting to find a nice little niche, if you're new in this industry, or if you're bored and you've been in it for a while, you just want something new, definitely look into that D-SNP market as well.
Yeah, this is the one bullet point on all of this that is, if this, then this.
Yes,
So
correct,
if
correct.
if Medicaid eligible, not a Medicare supplement. But
Yes.
this is just like and boom, we're moving over to the MA side of the
Yes.
world. So.
And of course, this is like veterans as well. Veterans have that coverage through their VA system, but sometimes they want extra bells and whistles as well. Sometimes they want those extra things that you can get with Medicare Advantage plans.
And to be able to see, like you're probably about to say,
yeah,
civilian doctors.
No, that's an excellent point.
They want to go to see somebody different. Because sometimes getting into a VA hospital can be a lengthy process.
For sure.
And they don't want to wait. They're the opposite of me, and they want to just get in there and get it fixed.
Yeah.
And so sometimes going the other route while using one of these in-network providers on a veteran's versus their veteran VA hospital is a great option. That's where it gets to the 102 level of looking at where it's covered, what they need to do about prescriptions.
Yeah.
If you're into that, let's talk about it later though.
Yeah, absolutely. But really also great market to serve. We know a lot of you guys are in that, but of course there can always be more people helping out those vets there with their healthcare, because hey, if they're not paying any money each month and they can get access to all these extra things, why not?
Why not?
It's
you
fantastic.
get some extra coverage. And this is another thing of just like making sure you're talking to people about all the options are out there.
Correct.
They might end up being like, you know what, like I'm fine going to the VA, that's great.
Yeah.
But you've talked to them, now you are their person, where if you want to talk with them, if they want to talk insurance, they're coming to you.
Yes.
We want to keep that with every single client in the history of the world that walks into your office. Make them your client.
Yes, and like they'll go to their buddies and say, well, maybe this isn't what I want, but you know what, my friend Joe,
yeah,
he might want this, and he goes to talk to Joe. Yeah, I have somebody, and they send him over too. So also really great for referrals as well.
Makes your credibility that much higher if you talk to them about an option and then they're still just like, you know what, I don't know if this is a good fit for me, and you can be like, you know what, I agree. You know, it's here if you need it. You come talk to me and we can get you set up with it.
Absolutely. Alrighty, guys. The last point, we already sort of touched on this, but we'll dive a little bit deeper on here. Great for clients who want to travel, asterisk. This is what we were saying. It's starting to be a lot more competitive with that top reason why someone might want a Medicare supplement. Some of the top bigger name brands out there, UHC, Aetna, I think Humana might have some. They have these new things called national networks, new as in the last AEP or two. I can't remember.
Yeah, last couple. I
Yeah,
think.
the last couple.
Last one, it really became a big selling.
Yes, exactly. Because the first year people were like, oh, national
Yeah.
net, we're like, what is this? And then last year it was like, oh my gosh, wait, this is really awesome.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're on one of those bigger plans, it's not going to be on every single plan with every single carrier, like we said. But if they're on that UHC, if they're on that Aetna, they're going to have access to things called national networks. So basically what this is that opens up their networks to any provider that offers that carrier and is willing to accept it. So that being said, if you live here in Missouri and you're on this Medicare Advantage plan and it has this national network, and you go down to Florida and you're like, oh gosh, I'm not feeling very good, I need to go to the hospital, I need to go to the doctor, whatever it may be, you can find a doctor down in Florida that accepts your plan because they have United Healthcare, they have whatever it may be, and you can go see them with no out-of-network costs. Like we said, this is a big game changer as far as battling the traveling often with Medicare supplements and then having a Medicare Advantage. For some people, this is the one thing that ticks them over to Medicare Advantage plans.
Yeah, like they might live, like say they live in St. Louis and go down to Florida. So they go from big city to big city.
Right.
And that plan's still going to be accepted there. The med sup becomes a little less appealing because there's a little negative or a point over here for Medicare Advantage.
Right.
It throws a lot wider of a net of where we can take this plan. So it just is giving more people more access to care. It will take a little bit of research to see where they're going to go.
Right.
Like talk to them about, well, where do you travel? Where do you like to go? And then we can look to see what plans are still going to be available there for you.
Right.
Or if we need to lean back on the Medicare supplement side. So again, it's just like kind of a sliding scale of what's going to make more sense. Theme of the day.
Yes, that is a really good point of making sure that you're doing your research on it, because of course these can change from year to year. Most likely a bunch of doctors won't, hop out from year to year, but you never know if they've kind of decided, if they are moving, they have the grandchildren there, they summer in Michigan, they live in California, and I'm rolling.
I want to find these summer in Michigan people.
Surely someone's summering in Michigan. I just feel it. But if they found doctors there that they really like and that they're taking advantage of those national networks, making sure that you're checking year from year. Of course, you guys know that, but just bring it up. Make sure that you're checking year to year, especially if that's the one benefit where they're just like, no, I'm on Medicare Advantage plans.
Yeah, it's the carrier contracts. I mean, it's all up to the carriers and hospitals negotiate these things up until the last minute, up throughout the whole year of trying to
quite literally, we're seeing that with some of our carriers this year, quite literally up to the last minute.
So definitely something to be checking on, especially with your folks that, you're looking at these plans for next year and you're saying, well, this Medicare Advantage plan is saying solid. All the benefits look great. I'm going to keep them on this plan. Make sure you're checking out those different networks and making sure that the doctors are still in place. That could be the differentiated part of switching them from one MA plan to a different one. Everything else could look the exact same, but they could have lost a big hospital.
Absolutely.
And then it changes the entire game. So very important to continue to check on your clients. Both of these, MedSup and Med Advantage, I might be jumping ahead of myself, but they're gonna need yearly service. They're gonna need that kind of, we talked about MedSup being set it and forget it. The client can set it and forget it. You need to be checking on things for them. So let's talk about the MedSup side. Rate changes, right? That's kind of the big differentiator, because we know a plan G is a plan G, a plan F is a plan F, but rate changes happen, rate increases happen, people pull out of the market. So you need to be staying on these things. That's a great thing to lean on us for. We are frequently getting all these notices from all the carriers of things coming up, things that they're changing. So when you're looking at, I have a client coming up on this, do we see any rate changes coming up? They might be in an anniversary state, so they can kind of get ahead of the planning there. But they will take yearly planning just like an MA side. Dove talked about that already, but it's going to take, even if everything looks great, you're going to want to double check really quick, because then that you can find out that, hey, this person actually won't need an appointment during an AEP, and come October, you can talk to them and say, hey, everything's looking good for you.
Absolutely. So which is better for my agency, kind of piggybacking off what you just said, we don't do this for free, and time is money.
Right.
So if there's, you might be thinking, well, which one's going to save me more time? Which one's going to, you know, help me be able to, should I prioritize one more than the other? And I think you wrapped it up very well there. Whenever it comes to time, it all kind of comes out in the wash in the end, because you're having to keep up with these on your end. For your clients, it might be a little bit different. They don't have to worry about those med subs year to year. They just wait until you call them, but you have to do that work for all those Medicare supplements, making sure the rate changes. And then of course the obvious Medicare Advantage, those are going to change from year to year.
Right. And typically on these webinars, you know, we don't dive into commissions a ton because we don't know your situation, but thinking about just the general life of these policies. So a med sup client typically will stay on the books about 7 years before they're looking at, okay, I got to switch plans, or I got to make some kind of change. And carriers will typically pay out somewhere around 6 years before the commissions fall off the face of the earth or completely stop, whatever it might be. A lot of carriers are moving to a small commission percent way later, but that's a whole other can of worms. But those are a little bit more stable. You know what to expect. You know that you're on the books, and you can kind of keep that little bit of checkup on them to make sure they're good. Where a Medicare Advantage plan typically stays on that Medicare Advantage plans around 4.5 years. Now, the commissions will pay out a lifetime. You get a lot whenever they're first turning on to this plan or first to MA, and then it significantly gets cut in the renewal side. But that is something that renewal payout is going to stay the same. Typically, without getting into crazy numbers, because I'm not a numbers guy, I think I've said this 10 million times, but when they click, they click.
Right.
So with this, Medicare Advantage typically will pay out just a hair more, but you're putting in a little bit more time. There's a certification process. There's looking into all these different things like providers, networks, prescription drugs, all the kinds of things that go along with it.
Right.
So you are getting rewarded for the more time that you're putting into it. Like Sadie mentioned, the DSNP side of things, it's going to take some more time, but that's just a bigger client base that you're able to reach out to and service.
Absolutely.
So you're getting rewarded for that time by working in the Medicare Advantage side. Already talked about it, but again, both are going to require that time aspect. It's going to come out in the wash. You'll get paid a little bit more for putting in more time. As we all know, time is money.
Right.
So just make sure you're thinking about those kinds of things as well.
Right.
And on the flip side of that, if you're saying, no, I'm only doing Medicare supplements still.
Right.
I don't like you guys. I'm not listening. You don't. You love us.
You love us.
But that is something where if you only do one or the other, think about the massive population you're just cutting off from potential of helping out or potential of getting commissions on, because it's really close to a 50-50 split anymore. It's probably starting to lean more towards Medicare Advantage. And if you're saying, no, I don't want 50% of the market in your area, some of these places are crazy on the MA side and could be closer to 80% of the population on an MA versus a Medicare supplement. And it's like, no, you know, I'm good on that 80%. I really like my 20. That could be fine for you. But as a growing agency that wants to grow, wants to have the most impact on the community, make the most money they possibly can, you're really going to have to service both sides, the Med Sup and the Med Advantage.
Absolutely. This question kind of loops us back around to the very beginning of what's better for my agency, which one is best for my agency, and that really comes down to whichever one is best for your clients. And then, of course, that leads us to the next question, the next answer, and that is, it just depends.
It just depends.
So
unless they're on Medicaid.
Yes, unless they're on Medicaid.
That's the one.
And then,
that's our one.
Come on. But guys, like I said, we try to keep this a little bit shorter than normal. I know we made pretty good time on this one. So we're going to roll right into questions. We know that we flew through this. But we know that your time is valuable, like we said. So please feel free to throw those questions in the questionnaire box. You guys been a little quiet today. Is it something we said? Is it us?
Is it me?
Is it Clayton?
Not saying is it Clayton? It's Clayton.
He's the one
right?
thing that's different on this webinar
Yeah.
today. So I'm like, I don't know. But go ahead and throw those questions in there as well. We're happy to take them for the next few minutes. In the meantime, check out our information here. If you have any questions, 800-689-2800. A lot of the stuff that we talked about here today, a lot of this back work and all the research that comes into it, all that sort of stuff. Of course, you'll have a hand in that, but we do a lot of that stuff for you. So if you are contracted with senior marketing specialists, that's quite literally what we do all day, every day. We don't make money unless you guys make money. So truly, we love to help you out. We love to make sure that you have all the information that you feel like you need in your areas. And you know, we just had a couple people on our team do state rollouts where we took 5 popular states that we talked to, and they broke down, I mean, area by area, what's most popular in there. And it was so crazy the amount of work that they put into that, and so crazy the amount of knowledge that they have of each area in each of 5 of those states. So truly, we've done a lot of the work that you don't have to do. So please feel free to call us. We have a question here. What's the difference between Medicare and Medicare assignment that you mentioned? Good question.
Oh, yeah. So on a plan N is where this really plays into a factor. So accepting Medicare just says, yes, I will accept the payments from Medicare, right? So the Medicare supplement and Medicare supplement will work with Medicare and take care of those, the hospital pays, or the kind of paying the doctor for their services, right? Now, Medicare assignment says that I accept the amount that Medicare will pay me for that. Certain doctors' offices will say, no, we charge more than what Medicare allows. And Medicare says, that's great. However, you can only charge, correct me if I'm wrong,
15%, yeah.
It's back here somewhere. 15% over what Medicare allows. So that is something to look at specifically with Plan N folks, is making sure that the doctors that they see typically accept the Medicare assignment as well. Medicare.gov is a great resource for this.
Absolutely.
You can type in the doctor's office, go to the map, and it'll show you they accept Medicare, and then they'll say if they accept the Medicare payment or Medicare assignment, whatever it says on there. I think it changed from last year because they love to make changes. That's their favorite thing to do. So that's something to look at with specifically the Plan N folks. Now your Plan G, your Plan F, they're not gonna have to worry about if they accept Medicare assignment or not. That's all taken care of in their Medicare supplement.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the Buzz on Plan N is a better deep dive of that, but that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of it.
And that's on our YouTube page if you want to check it out.
Like
We're
and
big
subscribe,
fans.
please.
Like and subscribe. We're those people now. Oh my gosh. My experience has been that drug coverage is one of the biggest deciding factors between MedSup and MAPD. That's exactly right.
Could be. So a lot of the times people are looking at the formularies, and especially this year, I'm going to go ahead and say it, PDPs are getting kind of worse. So
just getting expensive.
The premiums are going up on PDP plans. The formularies on these tier 3, 4, 5 are, some of them are moving away from the days of you pay X amount of dollars and going to a co-insurance. So the Medicare supplement folks that are used to not paying a ton for their drugs, or maybe they have a decent amount, but that amount might go up.
Right.
And that stuff is just going to start swaying more people to, let me lessen the floor of my cost and move over to a Medicare Advantage.
Right.
So definitely looking at the formulas of their drugs. See what kind of drugs they're on. See which one will make more sense. If the best PDP in their market isn't going to be a great fit, it's one of those things where maybe we start shifting a little bit over here to MA and start taking a look. And I had another thought in my head that's slowly going away from me.
No.
On the meds, I'm going to talk it into existence.
Yeah.
On the med subs, the formularies will say, or the PDPs will say, okay, let's get on this plan. And on a Medicare Advantage plan, you start adding this up. You're like, okay, so I have my premium for my med sup, I have my premium for my PDP, times that by 12, and look if it's more than that max out of pocket on a Medicare Advantage plan.
Yeah.
Because you're best case scenario with the Med Sup is that.
Yeah.
Where that's your worst case scenario on the Medicare Advantage plan. So that's something where you're gonna have to start looking at that even more so this year with the increase of premiums coming. I hate to be the bearer of bad news,
Yeah.
but that's something we're starting to get a lot more information on. Carriers love to hold on to the PDP stuff until the last minute.
Yeah.
We're just slowly starting to get a handful of them. So I don't want to go into crazy detail. That's good, is just to look at it and make decisions on what to do with some of these clients based
Absolutely.
off their drugs.
If you get a notification from senior marketing specialist in the next few weeks / month, and it has PDP in the title, make sure you're checking it out because we're letting you know.
And if you're like me and are a very anxious person, call us now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's just get this out of the way.
Absolutely. Alrighty, guys. Well, we don't have any more questions. Really great questions that we did get.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope that this helped you feel a little bit more prepared, maybe a little bit more confident in some of the decisions that you made. For coming up with AEP. We really wish you the best. Like we said, lean on us. We want to help our contracted agents. That's what we are here for. We even give you additional hours during AEP to contact us.
Yeah.
So please, please, please feel free to do that. What is the tool to see med subs?
So I believe you're talking about our quote engine, which is through CSG. That is going to be on our homepage. It's very easy to find down there. You scroll past, then you see my lovely banner for my care initiative stuff. I will plug it at any chance I possibly can. You scroll down past that because everyone hates me for making the quote engine move. And you'll see a little bar that says quote engine there. I would bookmark that. It's going to be a great thing to be able to use for your med sub quoting at any time. And then also you'll see very close to that the Medicare Center banner. So that's going to be more so for the Medicare Advantage, the PDPs. However, it does have the CSG plug-in to it as well. So you can run quotes through there if you want to. Honestly, it's a bit easier just to go ahead and use the direct quote option from our website because it shows you all the carriers that we can help you with. It's not going to show you all the carriers that you're contracted with. It will show you everything that's available through us that we could help support you with. And that's what we want to do. We want to help support. We want to help you guys grow. So use us as much as you can. If you're hesitant and saying, well, I don't want to bother Clayton, he's got a lot of stuff going on, there's lots of agents.
Call us.
I would rather tell you that's something that I can't help you with, that somebody else is going to have to, like that's a carrier thing, or the client's going to have to call. Let's talk about to see what I can take off of your plate during this AEP, this busy time of year. I want to help maximize your time. Everyone on my team wants to do the exact same thing. Everyone in this building legitimately wants to help you do everything we can take off your plate for you. And please just ask.
Is that the same as CSG on Medicare Center? So yeah, you kind of talked about that a little bit.
Similar. The Medicare Center CSG is going to show everything that's out there. Now that's going to be the issue is this one a reputable one? Because you might call me about a carrier that's on there and I'll have to look it up because I might not be familiar with that carrier.
That's why we suggest using the one on our homepage. Let's see. Where was the video about specific markets that you mentioned? Okay, so we have these hidden because of course we talk about plan benefits and stuff like that. So Kayla, we will reach out to you. We're gonna write down your name and we will ask you some more information because it's a lot of markets in a lot of different states. We'll ask you kind of which specifics you're wanting, but we are super happy to send over those rollout links to you afterwards.
And I will just mention they were in Iowa, Colorado,
Illinois,
Kansas,
Missouri.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Naturally.
Yeah. All righty, guys. Now it looks like we don't have any more questions. Thank you so much. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to call us. You will receive this recording in the follow-up email. If you're in the follow-up email and you're seeing this recording, hey, thanks for watching. But we will catch you all later, and we really hope the best, or we're rooting you on during AEP and AEP prep. So thank you guys so much.
Bye, guys.